They call this the golden ticket matchup. Kansas Jayhawks, Colorado Buffs. It's an interesting one. I'll give my thoughts and opinions about it. Let's talk about it. And I'll ask you in the comments who you got in the big time matchup between the Buffs and the Kansas Jayhawks. Let's roll it, baby. Come on. Yes, sir. This show is, of course, brought to you by BetUS. Game week, game time, Saturday, 3:30 Eastern Standard Time. Love that time slot. Got away from the late night games as of late. Appreciated it greatly here. Appreciated it greatly. Been covering these games, give you guys week-to-week analysis of these games, my thoughts. We break it down by the numbers. Like I've said, and I've been consistent this whole time. Only game we've truly been wrong on is that Nebraska game. Didn't have a good pulse on it. Kansas State game, I know the Buffs dropped that game, but breakdown-wise, you don't anticipate three major injuries, and the game was right there. They had an opportunity to get it done. I said it would be close, and sure enough, it was. So we haven't been too far off. Now, this game, look at the spread. Vegas think it's going to be much closer than I think it will be. And I'll give you my reasons and thoughts today. So we always go down by the numbers. These numbers you got to take into consideration, right? We've got a good sample size now that we're in week 12, week 13, whatever it may be. However, teams find a new rhythm. Teams find a new identity. Teams find a new passion, a new drive. Kansas Jayhawk drive right now, what is their identity? Season ruiners. They have found a groove. They have no chance of making Big 12 championship. I think a bowl game is still in the mix, which is important. But in all reality, their main focus is how many Big 12 teams day can we ruin? And that's a scary team to go against. That's a mindset of like, we got nothing to lose. And you lock yourself into with a room with a psychopath like that, it can get scary. It can get a little wishy-washy at times. So got to have that in your mind if you're the Buffs heading into this game. Now, break it down by the numbers. This is, I believe, is probably one of the first games outside of maybe the North Dakota State where we had no numbers. So yeah, I would say one of the first games where the Buffs carry the majority in ranking-wise. Again, the rushing offense, they're dead last. So it's a freebie. They give away one there. So they're always kind of one behind everybody else. And the offense is kind of a little skewed because of that number too. So they've been giving that number away, and most of the teams they've gone up against this year. So defense is a big one. This is probably one of the lower rated defenses, not the lowest, but back up in that lower. Utah, I said last week, was the hardest defense they played outside that Nebraska game, and it showed that it had a little bit of tissel and tassel at the beginning of the game. This Kansas game, again, they've been playing much better defense. I don't think it's going to be able to hold up, and we'll get into it a little bit later on. Offense, Kansas got an offense. They have a very, I wouldn't say complex offense. Their offense is interesting. If all things are clicking on all cylinders and everybody's executing their positions, they can make you fall on your feet. They can make you eat your own words. They do a lot of pistol, a lot of movement, a lot of play actions, right? The thing that I think Colorado's going to be able to elevate themselves, unlike teams that they just previously beat, like BYU, Iowa State, is the talent. Individually, Colorado talent is above par. And so you're going to have these guys that are able to make plays and probably break gaps where, look, if you're running this scheme that Kansas is running schematically very well, you could take advantage of a well-coached team, well-managed team, and you're going to need your players, your playmakers to step up. And look, BYU, these guys, necessarily don't have those big-time playmakers to overcome well-executed plays, right? Colorado does. And I think that's going to be a huge factor as well, too, of why Colorado pulls away. Rushing offense, we're not even going to talk about it, but you can see the rushing offense for Kansas is 23rd. They do run the ball very effectively and very efficiently. Rushing defense, we'll kind of skip one just for a quick moment, is improved drastically for Colorado. They have provided a ton of pressure. And I think where Colorado's going to be able to pull away here is they're going to score. We know Colorado can score, and I don't think Kansas is going to be able to keep up. And if they have to get away from what their identity is outside of ruining people's season, which is running the football, that's where this game can get out of hand very quickly. They want to keep this game tight, ugly, and in the trenches, kind of like they did to BYU. I think that Colorado going up against someone like a Utah that's going to try to outcoach you, outsmart you, all those things was huge. I think they play a lot of teams this year that have tried to do those things and work against Colorado. So I think they're well prepared for this game, what Kansas will be able to throw at them. So I'm not too concerned. Passing offense, we obviously know what Colorado does on offense. Kansas, not much of anything. Big thing here, too, that I want you to look at. I want you to circle on your chart if you're following along at home, is the rush defense for Kansas. Sitting at 72, I would argue it's one of the lowest or highest, however you want to look at it, worst rush defense that Colorado has played. And I've said it week in and week out, and I'll continue to say it. If you allow Colorado to run the ball efficiently, it's over. Don't even bother talking to me, okay? You allow them over 100 yards, don't talk to me, okay? You done did messed up. You let the boys get going on the ground, sayonara, see you later. if they're able to run the ball at will, this game is done from the get-go. Okay? And I think that they're going to, and I think that's another big key factor there. So you're going to have that, and then another one at the bottom, pass defense. They just got done playing Utah, which had one of the best secondaries they've faced again all season. I think they're going to be able to expose it very well. So the numbers, again, although there's 2 green boxes, offensively, I would argue that Colorado is higher. They're obviously very skewed with the rushing offense being at 132. So probably a green box there, and the rushing offense, again, 132 to 23. You got to think Colorado probably sweeps this thing. I can't say that. Kansas rushing offense is very good. So let's say it all but one will give a rushing offense. And look, that rushing offense will be very effective. I think what we also learned over the last few weeks is Iowa State probably on fraud alert, and BYU, look, they hadn't looked very dominant leading into that game on Kansas, and Kansas was finding a rhythm and finding some sweet spots. So the reason why they called it a golden ticket game, because it's only a 3-point spread when you take a look at it. And you look at this team and you look at what we just looked at, Colorado's been favored by more against tougher rated teams. They've also been underdogs to less. So for this to only be a 3-point spread going into Kansas, it's one of, again, those golden ticket games where Vegas feels like something weird could happen. And I don't think this is the time, but that's how Vegas is looking at this game, to be quite honest with you. If it was at Kansas at night, could I maybe think a little bit dicier? Playing at Kansas is a weird place. They get a little rowdy out there. Ain't got much going on out there in Kansas, tornadoes and whatnot. So it could get a little dicey early on. But this Colorado team, in my opinion, has been battle tested. They are just firing all cylinders. They're thinking differently, looking differently, acting differently. They're operating at a very high level that I don't think the committee is fully comprehended, because the Big 12 is kind of in turmoil right now, which I said at the beginning of the season is going to be busted wide open. And here we are. So I think they've kind of don't have a good pulse, to be honest with you. I think Colorado could be a really major threat coming out of the Big 12. And again, when you go to betus.com, use the code YouTube150, you get back 150% on your first deposit, then 125 on your next two. I've been saying it for the last few weeks. We have had families with these spreads. Give me -3 all day long, okay? That is bread and butter. Again, totals, always weird to me, because Colorado knows what they need to do. So I think they put up 35, 38. Does Kansas put up 20s? I don't think so. That's where I'm always concerned with. Could Colorado put up 60 to put up down there 50 on Utah? Possibly. It just depends on how effective and how, explosive Colorado wants to be. That line to me is just, because I know Colorado can kind of turn on and turn off as at will. That number scares me. They're just there to win. They're not chasing stats at times. I know they're they want to do what they can for Travis, but they're just there to win football games, and whatever that takes is what they're going to get after. So those games always kind of give me the EBGB, or those numbers give me the EBGBs. But +3, -3, give me the -3 all day long. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. What did you think? You think that this is going to be an easy squeezy game? I think, look, I felt more nervous for the Utah game than I do this game. I think because it's getting towards the end of the season, you have your hiccup games. People feel like there's no way that this could be happening, so they kind of create this aura. Kansas is finding the rhythm. We take all those things away, right? The rhythm that Kansas is in, this eerie feeling of the last 2 weeks, you feel like the room's tightening up. This is first week of the season, or second game of the season, we don't even blink, right? That's how you got to go into this game. And that's how I'm going to approach this game. I think it's a no-brainer. Ignore all the outside noise. Colorado has lived their entire time since Coach Prime has been there with noise around them. This noise isn't going to be what shatters this glass. That's what I got to tell you right there. Smash the like button. Subscribe. Of course, the show is brought to you by BetUS. We'll see you on the next one. Peace and love, baby.